The research outpost on Carex 9 had never known peace. It was a planet of violent storms and endless silence, a world where the soil glowed faintly at night and the air hummed with static energy. The human scientists stationed there called it the Whispering Planet, because sometimes the wind seemed to speak in tones that weren't quite natural. Among the dozen station personnel, Lieutenant Eric Holden was the only non-scientist, a security officer assigned to guard the alien envoy known as Saren of the Kalari. The Kalari were an ancient, graceful species. Luminous skin, translucent veins glowing faintly blue, eyes like silver moons. They spoke softly, moved slower than humans, and seemed to think in layers of emotion and color. Humanity had met them only 2 years ago during a fragile peace negotiation, and Saren was one of the few Kalari to ever step foot on a human station. Eric had been told to treat her with respect and caution. But from the moment he met her, she wasn't what he expected. Beginning, the flower in the storm. It was late in the 4th rotation when the storm began. Carex 9 storms weren't normal. They came with electromagnetic surges that disabled comms and blurred the horizon into an ocean of glowing static. The scientists retreated to the lower labs, but Saren refused to leave the observation deck. Eric found her standing before the transparent barrier, the lightning painting silver streaks across her face. "Envoy Saren," he called. "You should be below. The storm could breach the shields." She didn't turn. "The light," she murmured. "It reminds me of something. Long ago, our world looked like this before the Great Silence." Her voice had that Kalari rhythm, a blend of sorrow and song. Eric hesitated, then approached slowly. "You talk about your home a lot," he said gently. "Because no one remembers it," she replied. "We have forgotten more than we can bear to admit." Lightning cracked across the horizon, and in the flash, he noticed something. A single withered bloom caught in the deck's corner vent. It must have blown in from one of the oxygen gardens. He bent down and picked it up. It was barely intact, its white petals glowing faintly. "Strange," he said, holding it out. "A Terran daisy. Didn't think anything so fragile could survive here." Saren turned to look at it, her silver eyes widening slightly. "What is that?" "A flower," Eric said. "A small piece of earth." Her gaze fixed on it with an intensity that made him pause. Slowly, she extended a hand, her long, slender fingers trembling as if reaching for a relic. When she touched it, the world seemed to stop. The lights in the room flickered. The storm outside grew louder, pulsing in rhythm with a hum that wasn't from the generators. Eric stepped back instinctively, but Saren didn't move. Her eyes glowed brighter, and for a moment, it looked as though faint strands of blue light were emanating from the petals, winding upward into her palm. Then, just as suddenly, everything went still again. Saren exhaled shakily. "Where did you get this?" "I told you, it was just lying here." She stared at him, emotion rippling across her usually calm face. This is impossible." Middle. The memory that wasn't hers. Over the next few cycles, Saren barely spoke. She secluded herself in the meditation chambers. Her light dimmed to a pale blue. When Eric checked on her, she'd be sitting silently, the now dried daisy in front of her. Finally, she asked him, "Do you believe objects can remember?" He smiled faintly. "You mean like sentimental value?" "No," she said. "I mean truly remember. Record emotion, existence." The Kalari once believed all things carried memory. But we lost that faith when the silence came. The silence. Her gaze grew distant. An event in our distant past. Entire worlds went dark. We forgot who we were. The songs of our ancestors vanished. Our people began to drift star to star, searching for what we had lost. She touched the flower lightly. But this spoke to me. It showed me images I have never seen. Images. Her silver eyes lifted to his. Of your world. Of oceans and laughter. But also of us. That stopped him cold. Us. Yes. Hilary. And humans. Together. Long before your recorded history. Eric frowned. That's impossible. Humanity never even left Earth until 3 centuries ago. Yet I saw your sun, she whispered. And our ships above it. He didn't know what to say. Sounded like delusion or maybe a shared dream. But something in her voice made him hesitate to dismiss it. Maybe it was a psychic echo, he offered. Your species has empathic abilities, right? Empathy, not illusion, she replied softly. And this was no dream. That night, Eric couldn't sleep. The daisy, a fragile, harmless thing, had somehow triggered a memory that defied both human and Kalari history. He replayed the footage from the observation deck, frame by frame. At the moment Saren touched the flower, the sensors registered a massive spike in subspace resonance, as if a quantum signal had momentarily activated. He ran diagnostics twice. The readings were real. The next day, he brought the data to Dr. Kesamora, the Outpost's xenobiologist. This pattern, she muttered, studying the holographic graph. It looks like a data pulse, but organic. The flower's cells reacted like they were alive. Alive! Not in the biological sense. More like transmitting stored information. Eric frowned. Like a living memory. He shrugged. Whatever Saren touched, it triggered something buried in the plant's molecular structure. But how a daisy from Earth could do that? That's beyond me. Eric's mind raced. What if it's not the flower? Dr. Mora looked up. You mean the alien? He nodded. What if something in her species connects with it, like it's responding to her, not the other way around? She hesitated. If that's true, then there's a link between human DNA and Kalari biofields. Which means, Eric finished, we might not be as different as we thought. The awakening. 2 nights later the storm returned, stronger than before. As power flickered across the base, Saren appeared in the lab doorway. Lieutenant Holden, she said, her voice trembling slightly. It's happening again. The daisy, the dried, lifeless thing, was glowing. Faint blue veins of light spread across its petals, pulsing in rhythm with Saren's own bioluminescence. Eric could feel the hair on his arms rise as static energy filled the air. Saren, what's it doing? I don't know, but it's calling. The lights dimmed completely, replaced by a sphere of soft blue radiance forming around the flower. Within that glow, images flickered. Not holograms, not projections. Memories. He saw worlds bathed in twin suns, cities built of glass and sound, humans and Kalari standing together, working, laughing, existing. And then destruction. A fracture in space. A weapon of light consuming a planet. Saren gasped and stumbled back. That's it. That's the silence. It wasn't nature, it was war. Eric's breath caught. Between us. She looked at him with tears like liquid silver. No. We were one. 2 species merged through alliance, through love. But something broke us apart. The flower. It's a seed. A genetic memory. From when our worlds were one. The energy faded, leaving only the daisy, now completely white, shining faintly in the dark. Eric could barely process what he'd seen. You're saying humans and Kalari share a past? Not just a past, she whispered. A promise. To reunite when the memory returned.